Hello, my name is Liz Johnson. I'm chair of the Pancreatic Cancer Action Network's Raleigh-Durham affiliate. I'm a volunteer here in Central North Carolina, and I work with a team of volunteers that consists of survivors, caregivers, family members, and healthcare professionals. And our mission is to support PanCan's goals of raising awareness for pancreatic cancer and raising funds for research into early detection and better treatment options for our patients. I'm here today to share a little bit about my experiences, share a little bit about PanCan and what they have to offer to our patients and our healthcare community, and lastly, to really emphasize the fact that together, working together as a team is what is going to help transform the future for our patients. So a little bit about PanCan. Oh, no, let's start about me first. A little bit about my story. And actually, it's not just my story. It's my father's story and my family's story. My father was 66 years old when he was diagnosed with pancreatic cancer. He had never been sick a day in his life. He was incredibly healthy, went for annual checkups, and had his blood work done, and always got a clean and good bill of health. In the summer of 2001, he started having some vague symptoms, and his story is very similar to hundreds of stories I have heard over the years. He had vague symptoms of stomach issues, of fatigue, and lower back pain. It was the fatigue that bothered him the most. As you can see, this is the last family picture we took. He had 5 grandchildren who were very young at the time, and he loved spending time with them. The fatigue is what really made him go to the doctor to find out what was happening. And like many, many, many others who were eventually diagnosed with pancreatic cancer, these vague symptoms were misdiagnosed. They thought he had an ulcer. He went on ulcer medicine. And to make a long story short, in the end, he was finally diagnosed with pancreatic cancer. Of course, we were devastated. My family was familiar with pancreatic cancer. 10 years prior, we had a very close family friend diagnosed with pancreatic cancer and succumbed to the disease. We knew how devastating it was. But I think what was even more devastating was the fact that in that 10-year period, there had been little to no progress done for this disease. A short 6.5 weeks after my father was diagnosed, he died from pancreatic cancer. Again, I can't emphasize how devastated we were as a family, how grief-stricken we were, how angry and frustrated we were. And we took all of that and decided to put it into action. And we reached out to the Pancreatic Cancer Action Network and started our affiliate here in Central North Carolina. We were one of the very first affiliates across the nation to work with PanCan. And again, our goal is to raise awareness and funding for better research, for more treatment options, for an early detection method, so that other families do not have to travel the path we have, and that their outcome is far better than ours was for my dad. So a little bit about PanCan. We know we are taking on one of the world's toughest cancers. And at PanCan, our efforts are divided up into 4 categories. I'm going to talk a little bit more about each one of these as we go through the presentation, but research and clinical initiatives. PanCan has pioneered and pushed science forward through our nationally acclaimed grants program, our own initiative on clinical studies, and the cultivation of a thriving research community. So we are funding transformative research, early detection, and better treatment options. And again, I'll talk a little bit about the initiatives on the next slide. Government advocacy is another big initiative at PanCan, and this is where volunteers are critically important in this effort. PanCan demands federal funding for research, and we advocate for legislative support for lifting up our voices to keep pancreatic cancer at the forefront on Capitol Hill. And I'm going to show you a picture of some volunteers out on Capitol Hill back in 2019. We've done it virtually the last couple of years, but our last in-person efforts up in DC was in 2019. Then we have patient services. We've revolutionized the approach to treating pancreatic cancer by connecting patients with the latest treatment options, and we provide free, in-depth disease information. And free is the key word here. Our patient services is available to everyone, to our survivors, our patients, our caregivers, and the healthcare community. And it is a free service that is available to you. And then lastly, there's community engagement, another area where our volunteers are critically involved and do a great effort to advance pancreatic cancer awareness, and then the need for funding for research projects. So we lead and mobilize communities across the nation to raise greater awareness and funds. Today, there are 60 plus affiliates across the nation. We're a vibrant community of volunteers, caregivers, family members, healthcare professionals. We work year-round raising awareness for not just pancreatic cancer, but for the Pancreatic Cancer Action Network itself, and then again, the needs for funding into research. We're a grassroots organization of volunteers working in communities in honor of our loved ones lost to this disease, and we are dedicated in the fight to end pancreatic cancer one day. So a little bit more specific about the initiatives at PanCan. As you can see on the left side of this slide, PanCan is committed to investing $25 million this year into research. A cumulative investment to date is $174 million. So we're proud of all of those numbers. But as far as the initiatives, we have a grants program. I'm going to talk about that one first. By offering grants for basic, translational, and clinical research in pancreatic cancer to scientists and clinicians at various career levels, PanCan accelerates progress in the fight against the disease by advancing research towards the goals of improving patient outcomes. Since 2003, PanCan has awarded 234 grants to 213 scientists at 79 institutions through a rigorous peer review process. And as you can see, this year alone, we're committed to $25 million, and that has been a consistent number, or roughly that number, the last few years. We have an emphasis on early career investigators, and this fundraising growth you see here indicates that we are building a pipeline of pancreatic cancer investigators. Researchers are staying in the field, and we are leveraging our donors' dollars to advance progress. PanCan is currently accepting applications for the 2023 Career Development Awards. Recipients of these awards receive $250,000, and they will be announced in the spring. And then in the summer of next summer, our programs will open for the 2024 grants. So there are several opportunities for grants through PanCan. Early detection targeted grants, precision medicine targeted grants, research acceleration, translational research. All of these can be found on pancan.org/research. So if you go to pancan.org/research, and I'll have that information on one of my later slides toward the end of the presentation. If you go out on our website, you can read about each one of these grants. You can see who the grant recipients were in the past couple of years, and then all the information is there how to apply for these grants. So at PanCan, we also have Know Your Tumor. So PanCan's Know Your Tumor Precision Medicine Research Program provides eligible pancreatic cancer patients and their oncologists with information about their biology through biomarker testing of tumor tissue and genetic testing for inherited mutations. Know Your Tumor gives patients and their healthcare team access to information about treatments, including available clinical trials that are personalized to them. Results from Know Your Tumor have shown that patients who are eligible to receive treatment that matches their tumor biology live an average of 1 year longer than patients warrant. Next, we have PanCAN's patient registry. This is a global online database created to look for patterns in treatments, side effect management, and diagnostics that will lead to improved treatment options and outcomes for patients. By joining this quickly growing community and sharing experiences, participants give researchers access to critical data that will help make discoveries. This information provided is completely secure. The user decides who sees the information, how it will be used, and if they want to be contacted by researchers. Learnings from the patient registry have been published and presented at major biomedical conferences, describing the appropriate use of pancreatic enzymes and management of patient symptoms and side effects. Okay, next, another initiative we have is called SPARK, our SPARK data platform. SPARK, our healthcare data integration platform, gives qualified researchers secure and open access to de-identified patient data so they can learn from and build on each other's discoveries. SPARK breaks down the traditional barriers to accelerating research to get us closer to answers, better treatments for pancreatic cancer, and ultimately improved survival. SPARK will integrate data from PanCAN's programs and services like Know Your Tumor, as well as subsets of data from our large-scale initiatives like Precision Promise and Early Detection Initiative. So next is that Early Detection Initiative. This is a randomized trial to develop a feasible and cost-effective approach using imaging in a high-risk, new onset diabetes population to detect pancreatic cancer when it can be surgically removed. This transformative program aims to rapidly accelerate progress to develop an early detection strategy for pancreatic cancer. And so working in collaboration with government and research institutions, this early detection initiative is a unique opportunity to analyze patients' blood and other biospecimens for pancreatic cancer biomarkers in a multi-institutional study. In conjunction, in a designated subset of patients, we will use existing imaging and accelerate the development of improved imaging technology to allow doctors to catch the cancer sooner when lesions are smaller. Our best opportunity of helping our patients live a full and complete life. And then lastly, you'll see there is Precision Promise. And Precision Promise is a groundbreaking new approach to pancreatic cancer clinical trials, and it's created to speed progress for patients by getting new and better treatments approved more quickly. With a team of more than 100 expert clinicians, researchers, and diagnostic and key drug developers, and with the generous funding from visionary donors, PanCAN's Precision Promise is open to eligible patients to enroll at world-class cancer institutions nationwide. And Precision Promise is different than standard clinical trials because it has an adaptive design. The adaptive design allows for multiple treatments to be tested simultaneously. Fewer patients are required to determine if a treatment is working, so it takes less time and it costs less money. The design of the trial was approved by the FDA and is seen as a model for clinical trials into the future. So the next slide I included because it just, I think it's a great visual of how our money is being used and leveraged in the research community. For every dollar that PanCAN invests, it's been shown that grantees go on to receive an additional $2,000.50 in subsequent pancreatic cancer funding. And this is critical. This is a goal of PanCAN's to increase that research funding. So we're proud to be a part of these efforts. So we'll talk a little bit about the 5-year survival rate for pancreatic cancer. In 2001 and prior, in 2001, when my dad was diagnosed, the 5-year survival rate was 4%. And at the time, somebody's got to be in that 4%. And we were fighting hard to make sure that he was part of that 4%. And he was willing to fight as well. Unfortunately, the odds were stacked against him. Today, we have seen that rate increase to double digits. It's good news. We continue to see this number rise in the right direction, but it is still just way too low and reflects the much needed progress. That much needed progress is needed to improve outcomes for our patients. And as I said earlier, pancreatic cancer is one of the world's toughest cancers. It is currently the 3rd leading cause of cancer deaths in the United States. So it demands urgent action to save lives. And our survivors are the best ones to advocate on their own behalf. And unfortunately, we don't have a lot of survivors. And that's where the rest of us need to fill this gap. And nationwide this year, there'll be over 62,000 Americans diagnosed with pancreatic cancer. And unfortunately, there will be approximately 50,000 deaths. So it is critically important that we continue to team together. Our efforts have driven this 5-year survival rate from 4 to 11% today. And at PanCAN, our goal is to improve this rate to 20% by 2030. So partnering for progress, together we can improve the progress of our patients. Often once diagnosed, patients will turn to the internet to find the information that they need. And this can unfortunately result in inaccurate and hard to understand information and mostly feelings of really deep hopelessness. And so at PanCAN, we are trying to help give information to our patients and to our healthcare professionals, and to help our caregivers as they journey through this diagnosis of pancreatic cancer. Our services are free. Once again, we welcome you to encourage your patients to access all that we have available at PanCAN, and we encourage each and every one of you to also access this free information that is available, and the one-on-one support that is available to our patients. As a patient calls in or a caregiver calls in, they will be assigned to a case manager who will work with them to give them the resources that they need on their journey through this cancer diagnosis. Just once again, the offerings that we have through PanCAN, patients and healthcare professionals have this free access to personalized support for anything related to pancreatic cancer. You're connected to a case manager who will work with you continuously through the resources that you need in your journey. And now that the National Comprehensive Cancer Network recommends genetic testing and tumor profiling for all pancreatic cancer patients, PanCAN's Know Your Tumor precision medicine service is even more crucial. So we have a survivor and caregiver network where we advocate for our patients and connect and match them with others in their situation. No one should face cancer alone. And so PanCAN believes that all patients and caregivers should have the support they need and face their journey with hope. And so we have this available as well as information, and you can see a couple of the booklets that we have. These, again, all free, and we encourage all to reach out to PanCAN if you need additional information And we are here for you, and we have a trove of information available to you. Okay, so I think pictures do a fabulous way of explaining what we do better than I can in this presentation. As I mentioned earlier, part of our advocacy work goes on year round, but June is a very special month for us. June is when we descend on Capitol Hill for our Advocacy Day, and you can see we are a sea of purple. Purple is the color for pancreatic cancer. Typically, we are in person. The picture on the top is the last time we were in person in Washington, D.C. in 2019. And at that year, there were over 650 volunteers, survivors, caregivers, and healthcare professionals that descended on D.C. And we are incredibly proud of the efforts that we enact every June in D.C. You can see the picture on the bottom is what we've done recently. In most recent years, our Advocacy Day and our efforts have been virtually. They too have been successful, though. PanCan is successful in driving legislative support for increased federal research funding, which is critical because 80% of pancreatic cancer research funding comes from a federal source. Together, we're making progress and we're seeing success. We're teaming with healthcare professionals who now join us on Capitol Hill, and that has made a difference. Sharing their experiences and progress in the research field has resulted in increased funding that will transform the future of pancreatic cancer and the future for our pancreatic cancer patients. Together, we have helped increase NCI pancreatic cancer research funding from just $17 million in 1999 when PanCan was founded to over $182 million in 2018. And so I think that's worth repeating. 17 million 20 some odd years ago to 182 million in 2018. And this is an increase of almost 1,000%. And that's due to the ongoing efforts by all of our volunteers. We were very successful in getting the Recalcitrant Cancer Research Act signed into law in January of 2013. This resulted in the NCI making pancreatic cancer a national priority and developing a strategic plan for the disease. So one of the next really important advocacy efforts we have coming up is in November. November is Pancreatic Cancer Awareness Month. And so our affiliates across the nation will be having all kinds of events during the month of November. And also November 17th is World Pancreatic Cancer Day. So we will absolutely have a lot of activity on November 17th. And I've also shared a picture. The picture on the right is one of our patient advocates. And I purposely put that picture there because patient advocacy comes in all shapes and sizes. You are never too old, and you are definitely never too young to advocate for our pancreatic cancer patients. And this picture was taken at our Purple Stride event this past April. We have an event, this is our signature event every year, where we raise awareness and funding for PanCan. And we this year were a sea of about 1,200. In 2019, which was our last in-person event, we had well over 2,000. So we're building up again and look forward to our Purple Stride event in April 29. On April 29 of 2023, there will be 60 plus Purple Strides across the nation. So I encourage you to look for a Purple Stride near you next year. And now I talked about how important the healthcare professionals are in our patient advocacy work, and I really want to highlight a couple of people that have made a significant difference in our community here in North Carolina, but a significant difference to our pancreatic cancer patients. So first I want to highlight Dr. Antonio Baines. Dr. Baines is a professor at North Carolina Central University in Durham, North Carolina. Dr. Baines has graciously opened his lab for tours for our volunteers and our donors and the general public. He's also had a lecture series where he's presented on the work that he is doing and what's happening in the research field. And we are very grateful to hear from him. It means a lot to those of us that are volunteering and donating to the cause to hear what is happening. And so we thank Dr. Baines for his continued advocacy work. He does a great job of keeping our pancreatic cancer in the news. He's written articles in our print media locally, and he's also been on TV interviewed for the work that he is doing. And we are proud to call him a friend of our affiliate. Next, we have Dr. Kirsten Bryant. Dr. Bryant is a professor at the Lineberger Comprehensive Cancer Center at UNC Chapel Hill. Now, Dr. Bryant has a really unique kind of take on the work that we are all doing. While she was studying for her PhD, she lost her father to pancreatic cancer. And so she has dedicated her life's work to pancreatic cancer research. She is a fabulous advocate for us. She comes with us up to Washington every June to advocate for pancreatic cancer research. Her experience and expertise has been, I've seen firsthand how it has made a difference in the work we are doing when we are advocating for our patients. She is also on the media here in our local market. We have a great relationship with one of our anchors on a major TV station here. And he, when I coordinate with him, during November or in April when we're highlighting our Purple Stride event, he is always asking for Dr. Bryant because she is a great communicator and does a fabulous job of sharing her work and how meaningful it is to our patients and what she is doing. So we're proud to call her a friend, and we're grateful for her as well. And then next we have Dr. Darsh Kathari. Dr. Kathari is a gastroenterologist at Duke Health in Durham, North Carolina. He has been a speaker at many of our events. He shares with us the work that he is doing and the screening that he does for his patients that might be candidates for pancreatic cancer. He also brings his team out. You can see them there in the other picture. He brings his team out to our Purple Stride event. This was this past April of 2022, where they came out to volunteer. They sponsor our event. They are great supporters, and we are grateful for all the work that they do for our patients and for our cause. So we're proud of Dr. Kathari and his team and their work too. And so a couple of, just to end the presentation, a couple of thoughts. We're here for you. I hope you've heard that in my presentation. We're here for you for whatever you need. Please do not hesitate to reach out. I'll have my contact information in the next slide or two. You are welcome to contact me as well. But please go to pancan.org/forhealthcareprofessionals. There is an unending amount of information out there. I have only hit the tip of the iceberg of what's available, not only to our patients, but to you as healthcare providers. And I welcome you to go out there and read about all that's available. There's also a phone number there for you to use. That number is the general number for PanCan that we give out to everyone. When you call that number, you'll be directed to the right person to answer your questions, to give you the information you need. So please, we're here for you. And we're also here for Joanne. Joanne is a 7-year pancreatic cancer survivor. And I just love this picture. Again, pictures speak volumes. I think you can see the grit, the determination on Joanne and our family and supporters. They are determined to help Joanne live a full and complete life. And so are we. And I hope you will join me too in helping Joanne, but not only Joanne, but that there are more Joannes across this nation. And I just hope and I thank you for all the work you are doing. I thank you for your advocacy for our patients. You are going to be the key to ending pancreatic cancer one day, and I can't thank you enough for your efforts. And then lastly, again, here's my contact information. Again, I'm Liz Johnson, affiliate chair of the Raleigh-Durham, North Carolina Pancreatic Cancer Action Network. Here for you as well. Please don't hesitate to reach out to me if you have any specific questions. I thank you for this opportunity. I am incredibly grateful for each and every one of you, and I appreciate the work that you do not only for pancreatic cancer, for all our cancer patients. So thank you again for this opportunity.